Hey,
Yeah.
Tim, did you hear that the parking lot brawl this year, the Philly parking lot brawl this year, just happened?
Wait, it did?
Yeah.
That's funny. I thought it happened. That was supposed to happen next week. I don't care.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of As the Buckle Turns. I'm Adam,
Tim.
and I really wanted to say we have an action-packed episode for you guys this week, but in all honesty, it's been a quiet week.
Yeah. But yeah, that means we get to actually talk about something else for a change.
Oh my god. Wait, does that mean that we can take like an hour to fantasy book? We can do our 16 hours of fantasy booking?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, last week's podcast was like the number one most listened to podcast ever because we went on for 16 hours straight. 32 hours. My bad.
Yeah, it's the longest podcast that has ever been listened to ever on the ZOP Gaming channel. This is a monumental thing for the company. Our name's really getting out there. We're being recognized.
We're definitely gonna have to make sure we do about 16 hours minimum for these podcasts now.
Oh, I know. The play minutes have just been going through the roof for every one of these
We're up
shows.
to 10. We're in the double digits now.
I know. 10. Oh. But
All right, before we do that, we should probably get some news out. What little did happen out of the way, right?
yes. Let's go ahead and jump right in to us complaining about the WWE 2K20 again.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
honestly,
so,
I want to play the game. I want it to be better than it is.
I don't.
And I'm hoping that by the time I'm able to afford to buy it or get it for Christmas, whichever happens first, that they have a number the gameplay bugs fixed.
Well, funny that you say that because
Yes.
thing that went around on YouTube, headline said, I actually watched one of them today that said, 2K apologizes for WWE 2K20.
What?
Yeah, no. They just highlighted the tweet that they came out about 5 days after the game was getting ripped apart on YouTube.
Yep.
Saying a patch is coming within 2 weeks.
2
They
weeks.
never actually apologized.
No. There's no apology. It was just, hey, we noticed that everyone was pointing out all the bugs in this game, so we're going to patch them in about 2 weeks.
Patch is coming. You know what? The last time they actually had to really patch a game in the WWE series was near the end of THQ's run of running the game.
Huh.
So, yeah. Now, I did hear some news. Last week, I mentioned about how they should have gone, 2K should have gone to WWE saying, the game's not ready, we need to hold off.
Yes.
And they would and WWE would say, well, yeah, we don't want a bad game. I've heard otherwise this week.
That
Apparently, they actually talked to WWE, and WWE insisted the game get released this year. Wow. Let's put out something, a horrible product for a short-term game. Where have that happened for WWE? Oh, that's right. The last several years. Let's just do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, because we're making money. Now, I do understand if they're saying from a contractual situation that 2K is contracted to put out a game every year for WWE. Otherwise, there's penalties that 2K can't live up to.
Oh, I have no doubt that that's the reason what they went to WWE and they said, no, we want it released. You're contractually obligated to put out a new game every year. So that's why they did it. But at the same time, it just shows the short-mindedness of WWE. Like, the game is absolutely suck. Their mind frame of fans are like, oh, they'll still play it.
That's not
No matter
true.
what the product is, we're WWE. They'll still buy and play it. They must have not realized how many people are returning the game right now.
Oh, the game is already classified as a flop.
Yeah.
So even if sales pick up through Christmas, just saying that, the game's on sale, people are picking it up because it's on sale, or you have that one kid or that 140-year-old who's just like, well, I can't purchase it right now, but I would like it for Christmas.
140-year-old who wears glasses and has a terrible face.
Yes, exactly. That type of person.
If there are people still buying it at Christmas time and saying they want it after everything that's been how bad it is, they've been living under a rock.
Now,
This even goes if they patch it. I'm sorry, it's just not worth it. If you have to patch it that badly to get it where it's playable, no.
yeah, for me, the only time I'll pick it up this coming year is if they patch it to the point that the gameplay becomes playable and I can go through that career mode, and then I may play 2K19, continue that for the universe mode.
Yeah, but no. The only way I'll pick up W2K20 is if they drop it to like $20 after it's been patched.
Oh yeah,
Which they won't, so I don't have to worry about it. Anyway, I have Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out soon for the PC, so I definitely I'll be busy with that, so I'm not worried about this horrible game.
That's a game just like pretty much every RPG open box game, sandbox game right now. It's like 150 hours, dude.
Oh, I know.
Good luck. Enjoy it. Enjoy the trip. There's a couple of characters that are in the game that are voiced by people from Achievement Hunter.
No clue who that is.
They're a division of Rooster Teeth.
Okay. Still no clue.
Okay, whatever. You won't recognize them, but some of the fans of the gaming channel will know what I'm talking about, and those that do are cool.
But yeah, well, to be fair, I still technically haven't completed Skyrim.
I'm sorry,
Because
what?
I've not finished.
I mean, I've never played it,
finished
so.
I finished the story mode. I finished the war story as well as the Thieves Guild quests, but I have not finished anything else in the game.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's cool, man. I'm still working on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that game has been out for it almost a year now. Or has it
I
been a
haven't
year?
played those games, period. But even worse is I never even completed the main story of Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
All right. I mean,
That's because I didn't like it at the time.
I'm not a
So
fan
I
of
was just
Bethesda,
told-
so.
Well, I was just told by a fan this past weekend. I went to a NaNoWriMo event, and I was talking to this girl who said, "You gotta play it because it does get good." Because I have other people who told me the main character is not involved in the chosen one.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily need to be the chosen one, but I want to have an important part of the story, not just be the guy who's going to find an heir. But apparently it does get better. But I've had other people who tell me it hasn't. I'll go play it. I own it. I'm just gonna put a bunch of mods on it and do it that way.
I mean,
And probably play in God mode.
the funniest part is you're talking about Bethesda games where for the longest time, well, for the last couple of years, they're the only company who's been putting out such a broken game that within the first month have to really do a hard patch. And then 2K20's like, you know what? Hold my 30 pack of beers that are all open that I've been drinking. Just a little sip off from each one though. And hold my 105 ounce jug of hard cider. I gotta go make you look like trash.
Well, if I remember correctly, when Skyrim came out, it actually wasn't that bad. It did get patched. It always does because it's such a huge game.
Right.
But it was not like I've heard of some of their games have come out really badly broken.
Fallout.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's when you have that big of a game that you're making, you're gonna have problems.
Yes. When it's that large of a game, On the flip side, though, 2K20 is not putting out that large of a game.
No, I know. We talked about that last week.
Oh,
So, but let's move on.
okay. All right, moving on.
Well, we just, Adam, we just ranted about for like 2 hours. So we gotta move on.
Yeah, definitely. Editor, go ahead and cut that down. I think you got a good 10 or so minutes of that you can get out of there. I don't know.
Oh no, leave about an hour.
Oh, okay.
Editor,
All
whoever
right.
that is.
We'll see what they can do.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Sami Callihan is now your Impact champion.
Technically.
Technically.
Not, because it doesn't air until Tuesday. Oh wait, was it this past Tuesday? I think it was actually this past Tuesday. So yes, he is the champion.
Congratulations, Sammy, on becoming champion.
Congratulations. But I was talking about this last week that he was getting a rematch and he won it, and that's great. And then we had Tessa Blanchard come out into the cage and not say anything, but basically saying, "I want you."
Oh yeah,
and I want that belt.
She well, I mean, it's not just she wants that belt; she wants a match with him.
Yeah, she wants to beat him, prove that she's better than him.
Yes.
In their feud. So, spoilers for anyone who does not want spoilers for the upcoming Impact tapings.
Go ahead and just skip, I don't know, a minute or so.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that long.
Yeah.
So, but in the future tapings, I don't know what episode, but they do have a gauntlet match where the winner gets the #1 contendership, and Tessa Blanchard does win it after having a barn burner, from what they say. It sounded like with Brian Cage.
Ooh.
So, and I actually listened to an interview with Chris Van Vliet where he interviewed Tessa during Bound for Glory weekend, and she brought up how those two haven't had their a match on Impact yet, and they had them on the indie scenes, and they tore it up. So she's like, there's still people she can work with and have great matches.
Nice.
Now, we also talked about last week that Tessa Blanchard's rumored contract was up. I heard this week that no, that contract is up in this coming summer. So
Okay.
I'm based on this taping. I was assuming that she signed a new deal or that her contract wasn't up, and I'm assuming it's not up until this summer. So we probably will get a Tessa Blanchard world title, Impact World Championship reign at some point in the future, which is awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool. I would really like to see her win it at Slammiversary, sign another short-term contract, and then at Bound for Glory drop the belt, and loser leaves, or drop the belt just before that.
Yeah.
Get the rematch at Bound for Glory, loser leaves.
Yeah, something like that. If she not loser leaves, but if she loses, she leaves the company,
Right.
Or something like that.
And
so that'd be fun.
that way you can have a true loser leaves the company match where the loser actually leaves the company.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to see her do is actually win the X Division Championship first and use that wherever. It used to be at Slammiversary, but I think they've changed the rules where it's upcoming pay-per-view. You can use it to challenge for the Impact World Championship.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that, but I know they still keep it around because they use it every so often. But use that way for her. So when she goes for it this time, she will fail again. And then when she finally beats Callahan for the belt, it would be because she went through the X Division and then she used that, defended it for a little bit, then earned her title shot, and then got that way. But again, congratulations to Sami. You've actually, from what I've paid attention to Impact in the feud, he's been tearing it up in Impact since he debuted there. So this is definitely a great thing for him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I forget who it was that. Joey Ryan actually said this, that when he was last when he was last signed, what was that, 2012?
I have no clue when he was in
He was only there for a short time. But when he was there, the He said that now the entire company feels different. They have a very much a forward view now, and that's one of the reasons that he signed a multi-year deal was they have a view of what they're doing and where they're going and how to create their product.
That's good.
So,
Oh, by the way, continue. I have something we got to add to this.
Okay.
Impact talk.
so I
in a
mean,
second.
he also followed that up with, look, don't always judge a company by how it used to be. He's like,
That's true.
Because, I mean, now for me, I hear that more as, hey, Impact isn't what it was in 2015, 2016. It wasn't that. It's not that company anymore.
That we were ripping the shit.
Oh, every week we were ribbing them. He's like, no, now this is a company that has re-risen. They have a completely
That's good.
different view on what they're doing compared to how they used to be. At the same time, I can also see that quote as being like, hey, you know that WWE product that's currently shit? Yeah, don't judge them on their past where they used to be really good, because that's not what they're putting out now.
No, that's true. So speaking of Joey Ryan, I saw a clip.
Yeah.
I actually read about it. Then I actually saw the clip where he had a match with Ken Shamrock, and Ken Shamrock sold the Penaplex.
Oh, I actually enjoy the fact that there are legends of the industry who are willing to sell the move.
Yeah, because I watched the clip, and it's from a fan viewpoint, and he's like grabs it, and when you can only see from Joey's back.
Yeah.
So you can see Ken when he grabs it, he's like, oh!
He sells
Like,
the
he's like-
I'm stuck here.
Yeah, he's like going nuts. Like, it's hilarious how crazy he's selling that thing. And he gives it, and he's just like, oh, like, I can't believe I touched that. And then he gets mad. And eventually wins the match.
Right.
But it was just like, oh my god, that's great. Like, especially Ken Shamrock, when you remember him back in WWE, he wasn't a really fun, kind of loving character.
No, he wasn't.
And he was rumored to be not that kind of. It was hard to make him laugh, and he was a very serious person. So it's nice to see that in this element, he's still willing to, like, he's gotten to that point where he's like, I'm gonna have fun. He has that move. I'll sell the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And it was good. So I thought that if you haven't seen the clip, you gotta watch it.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
hilarious.
Yeah, you guys definitely go check out that clip. It's hilarious. Really, I've always, Ken Shamrock has always been a weird, like, wrestler / fighter for me,
Yeah.
because he originally left the WWE because it wasn't real enough for him. Went into mixed martial arts, showed that he could do it, and then came back to the WWE.
No.
Yeah.
He was only in the WWE once.
No. 2 runs.
No. One run.
Or was it
Because-
WCW? Because he left wrestling to go into MMA.
He may have been training for wrestling at one point.
If only
but-
there was a magical device where I could look this information up.
I know. I honestly don't care about that fact as much to really look it up, but no, because he was the original. He was he was in the first UFC. And he had been training in shoot fighting for a few years before that. So he would have been having to go into wrestling in the late 80s. He was still very young. But from what I understand, maybe he was training as a wrestler at one point, and then he just said, this is not real enough for me. I'll go do something else. And that's why? I don't know. But
Nope, sorry, I had it backwards. It was shoot wrestling. He'd been professional wrestling since 1988. And his first mixed martial arts foray was 1993.
Okay.
He joined the WWF in 97.
Yes.
And
And he left in 98.
then left
And,
in 99.
oh, no, my bad. Yeah, that's right. It was about 2 years.
And then from there
That's right.
on, it was bouncing back and forth between the independent circuits,
Yep.
TNA, Ring of Honor, because I do. There was an early Ring of Honor tape from probably 2002 ish, where he was the ref, and
Didn't know that.
yeah, and he actually would, like, if the two guys got, into a tangle, basically, and over by the ropes, but neither man are willing to let it go. He actually was refusing to count them out. He would grab them, pull them back to the center of the ring, separate the two of them, and then send them at each other again. He's like, "No, we're not doing it that way."
I think he may have been the referee because when they first started, Ring of Honor had what was called the Pure Championship.
Yep.
Which was MMA type style. So that's probably what he was doing. Now I didn't realize he was a ref there. I knew about TNA. He was the first. He took the NWA World Championship in their first pay-per-view when they were crowning that. I never heard that he actually wrestled beforehand.
It was actually his return to wrestling overall. He was the ref between one Daniel Bryanson and the other gentleman was Low Ki.
Nice.
So yes, Daniel Bryan's and Loki were he was the ref in that match.
Nice.
That was March of 2002.
Damn. But that's good to see that he, again, going back to this original idea, that he's willing to do this fun stuff for that. All right, Adam, we've been talking about that Impact for about an hour and a half now, so let's move on to the next thing in the news.
Definitely. Next up, we've got Eric Bischoff has made comments about NXT being the shit company it is. After he getting fired, I mean, I can't blame him for taking a shot at his former employer. Of course he does
Okay.
that.
Of course, let's be fair. I'm going to tell you this. That wasn't a shot at his former employer.
I know. I'm totally taking his quote out of context.
I know. It was actually from Vince McMahon asked him what he thought of AEW. And Eric Bischoff said he prefers AEW because they have a good product. Not that NXT is bad.
No.
It's just his big point was when you look at hot wrestling, which you have in both companies, and you have a big arena versus a small soundstage, it's hard to take it as big time because it's in a small soundstage.
Right.
And it is the fact. I mean, I live in Florida. I go to the school Full Sail where they shoot it, and the fans are hot.
Oh, they are hot.
And I guarantee if they had a bigger arena, a bigger space, they could get more people in there.
Yeah.
And more people would come. But I don't think they would be able to sell out even a 2,000 seat arena.
No. Maybe not. Who knows? But I mean, at the same time, didn't Bischoff, when he came into WCW, weren't they still working on a soundstage?
Yeah, they were doing Universal Studio. They were actually doing they stayed in the Universal Studios for a very long time. I don't know when they officially stopped doing the Saturday night tapings. Because for the longest time they had Nitro on Monday, they had Thunder, which was the last one they added. But before those two, they had Saturday night.
Yep.
I can't remember what the actual title was, and then they had another an hour-long program on Sunday nights as well.
Yes.
I think they got rid of that one. They got rid of that one very quickly.
I do know that it was also soon after. I love the story of how he got Monday night. It was literally a meeting, and Ted Turner was like, "What do you think you need to make wrestling successful?" He's like, 2 hours prime time midweek.
No, he didn't even say 2 hours. He said, because the quote, you're right in the thing, but Ted Turner's like, what would we need to compete with WWE? And Bischoff was like, there's no way I'm going to get this.
Nope. Prime time.
It's just, no. He's just like, give me prime time. And he's like, he turns to the guy head of TNT. He's like, hey, give him 2 hours prime time on Mondays.
Duh.
And Bischoff was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? And that's how Nitro was born. So But yeah, it's
what
like,
what was his
I don't
actual
know,
comment?
well, for what?
But regarding AEW and NXT.
Oh, it's just like I just said it. It was basically that because of the bigger audience, it seems like a bigger deal and makes their hot action seem better. Just in a bigger
It
space.
really
That's
is.
basically what
It's not just the bigger space; it's the larger crowd reaction.
Yeah. Now don't get me wrong. I've been in the Full Sail live where they film NXT during a taping, and they can get loud enough where it sounds like you're in a bigger arena at times. It is.
That's true.
But and there's also times when you could be a good match going on, and if they're relatively quiet, it can sound a lot worse on TV.
Yes.
I mean, they're into the match, they're watching it, but it's not. They're not making a lot of noise because it's one of those matches that they're kind of like studying. It seems like they're not into it because Full Sail is known for that rowdy crowd, which is they're wrestling fans. Depending on what they're doing, it may be like, no, we're watching this, we're interested in how they're going about it, versus this is the match we're gonna cheer and get really loud for. If you don't know that, it can come off very, very weird.
Yes. Now, with a larger audience, though, you end up having enough crosstalk and whatnot, general noise from the audience that kind of makes everyone, like, as a TV viewer, it makes you realize that there's still an audience there. When an audience gets really quiet, and it's actually one of the things for a while regarding New Japan that was kind of off-putting for me, was how quiet their audience can be.
Oh yeah, because they're one of those people. They're the kind of people who they're studying the match.
Yes.
At times. And that can be, if you're used to the hot crowds, like jumping and going all over and everything, and it's not what you're used to. You're like, they're not into this match. And
No.
you guys, they're not doing anything during the match, the whole show.
But then you'll hear, like, the spot, and the crowd react to the spot. And you're like, oh, okay, they're here. They are so into this match that they're quiet about it.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of AEW and NXT.
Yes.
For the once again, AEW tramples NXT in the ratings.
Yes, they do.
So now, remember, last night we had a World Series game, so the ratings were down quite a bit.
Okay,
for that.
So not only was it just a World Series, it was Game 7.
Yes,
so there are
it drew.
That's already a draw to pull audiences away.
Mm-hmm. So, but AEW managed a 789 viewership. This is down 21% from the week before.
Okay, that
NXT,
hurts.
Yep. NXT was at 580,000%, went down 17% for the week before. So to give you the frame, AEW's last week's rating was 963,000 views, and NXT's was 698 views.
Okay, so
100,000 views. So
NXT lost the smaller audience.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're not doing good. They're doing hot Impact numbers from 4 years ago. Yeah. After the holidays, once January hits, that's where I really want to see what these two shows are going to be doing for an audience.
Yes.
Because right now, October, especially with both networks that they're on, October was not a good time for them.
But not just that, it's also you have baseball wrapping up,
Yep.
NFL ramping up, you have basketball and NHL are also ramping up, but they aren't as ramped up unless it's a big rivalry game going on.
Yep.
Because football ramps up because it's a very short schedule.
And it's Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays.
Yeah, so every time there's a football game on, people are watching it regardless because it's football and it's only from end of September, beginning of September to December.
January.
before you get the playoffs. Well, January starts the
Playoffs, but yeah,
But so, and then you're into February. You're in the championship game. Whereas basketball and hockey, they start in like October, November ish, and
June.
they go until June through the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it ramps up, but unless it's a big rivalry game, it doesn't really.
you'll
not that big of a
you'll
deal.
see that, especially on Wednesday nights. You'll see what kind of audience both shows will be retaining.
Yes. And with those two sports, those really get ramped up around October because for basketball ramps up because you have the college basketball NCAA tournament, which gets you people hyped up for basketball.
Yeah, that's-
college, and then it's almost a month away from the playoffs for the NBA, so that ramps that up.
Yep.
NHL starts getting hot because we're closing in on the end of the season, and everyone wants to get to the postseason, and fans are really paying attention, especially if their team is on the make or break
Yep.
of making the playoffs. People got to pay attention to that, so fans start really paying attention. So, but we'll be interested to see. It'll also be interesting to see how the XFL plays with this. I know it's not going to draw a lot of audience away, I don't think, but at the same time, it'll be interesting to see how that plays in with the dynamic.
Maybe. But yeah, what?
We do have a little side news from last week when it comes to the ratings.
Oh yeah, totally. And I've
give you
got
this
some
one, Adam.
points to make about that. There are obvious reasons why this isn't. It's nothing to worry about in any way. Okay.
But I'll let you have it.
All
I'll
right.
let you give the
Well,
news.
it turns out that AEW on Wednesday night had more household views, more households were tuned into it than SmackDown on Friday.
What?
Yeah, and supposedly SmackDown had a ton of draws as to why it should be great. Hogan was on there, Ric Flair was on there. Yeah, guys, you have two 70-year-old guys that are on the show. That I'm going to be honest. I'm 40. I'm the old end of any television's target audience, and I was just a child when both of these men were at their prime. You want to bring a slightly older audience by bringing in a legend? Give me Stone Cold. Give me Bret Hart. Give me Shawn Michaels. Those are my legends.
Yeah. So to give you the numbers, as we already told you, Dynamite did a 963,000 views last week.
Yep.
Because SmackDown was on Fox, FS1, because of baseball, it only drew 888,000 viewers.
Yep.
Now, like we said, it was because it was on FS1, but they really didn't advertise that it was going to be on a different channel. But here's another thing, though. I read there. They probably didn't advertise it because they figured they're going to be doing it around the same number that SmackDown was getting on USA before the move over to Fox, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Fox and FS1 and the number of homes it's in are hugely different number of homes.
Oh yeah.
During a World Series game, if this turns out to be true, that's just a delusional how WWE thinks of their own product, of their fans, that no matter what's going on, they're just going to watch anyway.
Yeah, no. First of all,
No,
FS1, like the argument that FS1 isn't in enough homes and that's why there was a huge drop off. No, it's actually in more homes than TNT is.
not that much, but it's
like
has
4 million. It's still a good
But
chunk.
when you look at when you compare to the numbers of like how many homes FS1 is in compared to Fox, no, it's
oh
not.
yeah,
It's
that leap though
menial.
is huge.
Yeah, so going from that to this kind of channel where the gap between the number of homes, 4 million, isn't that big, and AEW still beat them in the ratings.
Right.
Yes, it was from a different night. Let's make that clear too.
Yes.
We're just talking about the overall for the week. There. But do you still think you're going to pull off a 1.8 ish? I'm sorry.
I would have thought
That's delusional.
Well, it also shows that honestly, most of their viewers are either people who are DVRing it, or there are people like that Fox, just the channel is on in enough households during every Friday night that it's just on. Like, okay, go to the gym. Fox is on one of them. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, Friday night because of SmackDown is on FS1. We're going to change our Fox channel to FS1. No, they just leave it on Fox. It just stays there.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what the numbers are this week for them. Going back to Fox and how but obviously, I mean, the numbers, they should not worry, but they should be more conscious that the people, if they did really think they were going to get break the 1 million without really talking about it, because that just shows you how bad the delusion their product is to them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, our fans will watch regardless, no matter how shit of our product we have right now. Our fans will still watch because we're WWE.
Or,
no. You're pretentious, you're stuck up of your old success, and fans don't stick around.
No. It would be, now, if the number for this Friday, podcast-wise, yesterday, we recorded on Thursday. Yeah. Took us long enough to let you know. Anyway, if we see the number bounce back to what it was on Fox the week before,
it will bounce back. I have no doubt in my mind the rating will be lower than 2 weeks ago ratings, but it's going to be comparable. It's going to be about like a 10 to 17% drop, because that's what they've been dropping weekly since they debuted. So it's going to be higher up, but they won't be at the same number they were the week before. I don't think Fox has hit their they haven't figured out where they're going to hit on an average base yet. They're still falling, which is not good for WWE, because Fox wants a 3.0. That was the rumor back in the summer when they said that they were concerned about their SmackDown's ratings, because they want a 3.0 for what they're paying for it. Now, again, it's only been a month. Big sports has been going on. So around January, we'll figure out for sure exactly what their average rating will be. If they don't make major changes to make people want to stick around and tune in, it's going to keep falling every single week. Not by as much as like 17%, but it's going to go back to what SmackDown was. It was higher, and every year it was down 17% from the year before.
Right.
Like each year. But it eventually will get to the stabilizing point, and it'll only drop by 2-3 points around January. But if they don't get people interested in doing something different, it's going to keep declining, and Fox is going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They really do need to... I really hope that it doesn't come to them having to make drastic changes and or the network step in. Because if the network steps in, ooh, that's going to hurt.
Yeah. But
especially if
all right.
If the network does step in, they're going to be pointing fingers.
Yes. But that's also one of the reasons why people believe Eric Bischoff was hired in the first place. So if things didn't happen, they could fire him. It's also people believe that's the reason why Paul Heyman was there.
Exactly.
I mean, he was also obviously hired because he had his hand in certain storylines months before the Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch one, and other ones helping out backstage. So there was other for that, but there was also idea like if we give him more control and it doesn't bounce, we have someone on the outside we can fire without messing up the backstage thing.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Heyman has not. That first week where he kind of had a lot of control was great.
It's been
Ever
okay.
since. So, but it is what it is. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. NXT, as predicted, is still far better than the main roster product. But, all right, Adam, what else do we have on the docket? I believe that's it, right?
Nope. We also have brand new AEW Tag Team
forgot about that
Champions. First ever AEW Tag Team Champions.
And we predicted this last week, and we were wrong.
Yes.
The Lucha Brothers are not the first champions.
No.
SoCal Uncensored are the first AEW World Champions.
I
And I did have a problem. And I did have mention how I had a problem with the look of the belts. I am going to change my opinion slightly on that.
Okay.
Seeing them on television, they looked better
I told you.
from afar.
You know what? Whatever.
No, like when you're not close, really close up to them, they look great. They actually look very, very well.
Okay.
But when you got those closer shots, I'm still like, you can see how simple they are at times. Like, but it still looks better. And most of the time, we're gonna see him from afar.
Right.
We're gonna see him more like on a mid shot, which will be more detailed, but it still looks better. But at the same time, I'm just like, I think it will grow on me over time. I do.
Yes, they will.
think.
You will
Kinda
come
like
to
how my
appreciate them.
That championship belt that you were supposed to send me looks awesome from afar. It looks great close up too, but still from afar it looks awesome.
No idea what you're talking about. Just gonna turn the camera a little bit, and nope.
Just because you move the camera doesn't mean I can't know that it's still there. See, it's right there.
No idea what you're talking about.
Anyway, going back to the championship match, it was actually pretty good. I do still have some problems with AEW on rules for tags. We talked about this earlier, so we're not going to go into it now. But it was a good matchup. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with this going forward.
Yeah.
We still have no women's championship matchup announced for Full Gear. We obviously we're going to have a tag team match announced yet because they haven't crowned the champions outside the Young Bucks and Santino Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see how they handle the championship. Will we get a rematch for them? Will they put a different championship tag team in there? So it'll be interesting to see going forward for that.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
but now I believe we have no more news and we can move on to our topic of the night.
No. I got one more thing. One more thing, ladies and gentlemen. There is a, tiny little company out there.
This is where I can zone out. Okay, I got it.
Local, amazing company. I've been doing commentary for them. That's how low budget they are. New England Wrestling Alliance. Tomorrow they have a great card coming up for you. We've got 2 tag team matches. The main event of the evening, though, is a tag team match for the tag team championships. It's a Woo World Order challenging Heroes for Hire for those belts. I wish those Woo World Order boys, Rob B and Mr. M, good luck in their match coming up. And we are kicking off the match. Kicking off the card with a brawling match between 2 heavy hitters, Baki from Anime Attack and Jacob from Monster Squad. Good luck on those guys. Go ahead and check out tomorrow's episode. Also, Zop Club, they have been running rampant through the tag team division. They don't have a match this week, but check out for further action of them in the next couple weeks. I hear some rumors that they're about to set up a secondary championship. I don't know what's going on. Biff Striker's the one that knows what's going on backstage. But yeah, Tim, the reason I mentioned their secondary championship is because it does seem that our fantasy booking this week is going to be all about secondary championship in AEW.
Oh, wait, I heard my name.
I did an amazing segue there,
that?
and you didn't even pay attention. I can't work with you like this. I can't.
I told you. I told you I was zoning out. I don't need to hear about your champion, your company that you commentate for.
Yeah,
No one
it's a
cares,
wonderful side job. I get paid in burgers, fries, and occasionally a bottle of whiskey shows up at the table. I don't know. But Jedi and I, we call those matches every week.
You don't question it. You just enjoy.
Nope. I'm just like, oh, hey, there's a bottle of whiskey here. Let's get in here.
Wow. Well, yeah. So today we're gonna do some fantasy booking of when, because there has been talks. I've heard this was a few months before even Dynamite launched, but they were talking about bringing in a second tier title.
I mean, it makes sense. Pretty much every major company has at least one other belt outside of their main championship.
Yes, and they definitely have stars that they could use that belt.
Right.
Like Darby Allin. Like when he challenged for the AEW World Championship, it felt out of place to me.
It did.
He's over, he's good, and he's a future world champion, but he still felt out of place.
I mean, it did, but I mean, if there had been any other championship in the company, I feel he, at that natural moment, he would have challenged anybody for any championship. The problem was there was no other championship, so
which I understand, and by putting him in with Jericho this early in his career, sets him up for as a star.
Mm-hmm.
And when if and when, which I do believe they will, bring a second tier title in, he will be in that picture, and actually probably one of the top contenders for that. The only other person I can think of who would probably be a better person to put the second tier title on first would be Cody's best friend, MJF.
yes. Actually, I have.
Or Shawn Spears, actually. I think Shawn Spears. So there's 3 people that they could really put that
Oh,
belt on.
dude, I got a short list of people right here of who I could put that have in that circle of people, for a secondary belt right now. I mean, you got Adam Page, you got Scorpio Sky. Pretty much
I'm talking about
what?
I'm talking about for like first ones right off, and while Adam Page definitely should be in that picture, but I'm talking about someone in that picture who could be, and as much as Hangman Page should be, I don't think he should be the first.
Oh, no. Honestly, I would like to see this be the belt that Pac gets first.
Yeah, he's another one. I like to see him win the world title first, and then be that Jericho type character when he can easily transfer back and forth. I mean, you mentioned an idea similar to that. But before we start fantasy booking this title, we gotta put some ground rules here.
Oh, for crying out loud! All right, what's up?
Okay, because I have a little picky thing. When we say clarification, this is more of a clarification than a rule. Adam, are we talking about a second tier title for the men? Or are we talking about a second tier title for both the men and women?
I'm just saying men right now.
Or are we just talking about a second tier title, period, where either men or women could hold?
Well, actually, here's the thing. I truly believe that AEW, outside of the women's title, doesn't have a gender on their belts.
It's possible. I think so too. Now, here's the thing. The reason I bring this up is because if you bring a second tier title in for the men, you have to bring a second tier title in for the women.
Oh.
And we do already know that the women's tag titles are eventually coming.
Okay.
Now that we just crowned the men's, doesn't mean I think we're going to start a tag team tournament for the women's. I think that's more around Double or Nothing at the earliest.
Okay.
Because they're still fleshing out their women's division.
Yes.
Which is good, which is fine. I'd rather have them start really flesh out the women's division a little bit more before they bring the tag titles in. But if they don't bring the belts in until next year, that's a little too late for me. So,
all right.
But again, I'm not saying if they bring a men's second tier title in, they immediately have to bring a women's in. But I'm saying if they bring a second tier title in for the men, they have to bring a second tier into women at some point. So, but that's why I'm saying, but what if you do a second tier title, period?
Well, I mean,
Where men and women can hold. Because then you could have trade it back and forth. I do eventually think they should do two separate secondary titles, but thoughts?
I'm gonna book this as a men's title.
Okay.
It's
Well, I'm gonna be booking.
it's later
Go ahead.
on that I can see women being brought into the division, but right away it'll be treated as a men's belt.
Okay. I'm gonna treat this as similar, but I'm gonna be double booking secondary as a secondary title, men's and women's. Then.
Okay, well, you have fun with
So-
that. I'm just gonna
Alright.
try to be realistic, and that at some point there's going to be more belts, but right now we're
yeah.
just going, hey, there's this new belt.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying we're gonna have the second tier title for the women's is in the next year or so. I'm just saying, as I'm doing it, I'm kind of booking two titles, second tier titles coming in, and how they would be used in each division, and how they would be similar and different from each other.
Okay, all right. Where how do you want to start this off? Who? Me? You? Me? You? Me?
So let's go with define the division. Like, is it just for a mid card, or is it gonna be like, do you want to do anything special to make it stand out? Gimmick type. It should be like, but like how the division will stand out from the others. Let's start there.
It's weird. I would love to see a belt from them that is. I understand that the TV title, originated when, television really started to come around. And it was like, okay, this will only be seen on television. Only during the weekly show. If they introduced a belt like that will only be defended on the weekly show, on television, never at a pay-per-view, that would be cool. Or, and this idea I really like because it is so, it's kind of, it's a subversive. The dark belt. It can be only defended in a dark match.
So it would be on AEW Dark.
Right.
That's interesting.
I like.
I don't know if I would say that should be the second tier title.
No, but that would be
I
a cool
definitely think they
little
should-
belt.
That'd be a side belt that you only see like dark matches, house shows.
Yep.
It's never shown on television. Yes. Internet YouTube is different.
Yes.
That's-
No, I would have no problem with the champion being on Dynamite with the belt on him,
Yes.
but the match never happens on Dynamite.
Yeah. The championship's never defended. Actually, I would be okay if it's taking the TV title mind frame. Because I hate the TV title concept.
Exactly.
Because it's never used correctly.
No, it's
they
not.
say it is, but then they never do. But do use that concept for the dark belt. Have it be the internet championship, which is defended on the dark because it's on the internet, and that is what it's called because they are literally it doesn't have to be on every internet show, but it's defended only on the internet channel.
Yes.
So that's the only time you can see the belt on TV, but it will never be defended.
Nope.
It's only on AEW Dark.
Yep.
Period. That I'd be okay with. But let's focus on this second tier title that would be on the main shows and all that.
I'm gonna name mine. It's going to be the Elite Championship. And the only reason that is placeholder name, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, I mean, a secondary title, the way that we view them today, you could call it the Intercontinental title, the European title, the North American title. We know it's not the world heavyweight title or your world title. It's just, and X Division did a great job of being like, nope, we're gonna call it this, and this is a division of not cruiserweights, but a bunch of the new wave younger wrestlers.
Yes, and kind of like when before Jarrett tried to merge Impact back into Global, whatever he called it.
Yeah.
Global Force Wrestling.
Yeah.
And then failed and all that. He retired it, and I know who the last champion was. We'll see if you know in a second.
Loki?
He had a similar thing that he called the Next Gen Championship, which I thought was actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm actually just going through
Secondary
synonyms
titles
for Elite. For Elite. I'm going through synonyms for Elite.
Okay. Because I really do think it'll be they will name it something that it will highlight the fact that it's not your standard Intercontinental title. It's not your standard North American title. It's not the TV championship. But it's going to have the idea that it is this up-and-coming belt. At the same time, any champion, anybody could hold this belt. It's meant to elevate you to near main event level.
One thing, a few I'm seeing really quick that I kind of liked was the A-list.
Okay.
That's a little too top of the line for me.
Yeah.
But Prime, I think could work.
Oh, the Prime Championship, yeah.
But the one I think I like them better is A1.
The A1 Championship, sponsored by Cracker Barrel. Actually, I have no problem with that now.
Because the A1, A1's tops on the top of the brand, but it elevates you there, but you're not a world champion.
Right. The World Championship is a whole different thing.
Yeah. But if you have the A1 or Prime, you're still that those terms like elite mean you're good.
Yeah. I mean,
you're just not.
You're good enough. You've got a belt on you, man.
Yeah. You're at that world title level, but you're not that champion at the moment. So you're this champion. It's basically how the old WWE championships were looked at. If you're not the world champion, the Intercontinental Championship is right there.
Right.
That's how it was originally designed. Now, it's been completely changed as the WWE Intercontinental Championship is a separate. It's mid card.
Yeah, it's mid card only.
Yep. I mean, you can make an argument the Intercontinental Championship went back and forth at times before the Attitude Era, where it was a mid card belt, and then it was a main event. It was near the main event, transitioning between main eventers, then going back and kind of did that because it could transfer between.
Really, it depended on who was holding it at the time.
Yeah, and that's what was good about it. But it always was prestigious. And then Attitude Era came and they just destroyed it.
Well, I mean, there was... Well, yeah, Intercontinental really actually got hurt during that era. But oddly enough, the European belt became kind of the up-and-coming belt. That was hey, these guys should be on your radar. It's like you had Triple H, you had The Rock, you had all Mick Foley, if I remember correctly.
I don't think he had that.
No, but typically it was
newer
people.
Here's the funny thing about that. That was not the purpose of that belt.
No, but that's just how it worked out.
It was supposed to be a belt that they could successfully defend in Europe when they did tours over there. Only downside is at the time they did it, they only toured once a year at that point to the European tour.
Yeah.
So it was not really there's no real purpose. And if you didn't, I mean, Bulldog held that for almost a year. Oh no, not for a year, but held it for like almost 7-8 months. And half the time he didn't really defend it on TV. So it was like,
No.
why should we care about that if he's not defending it on television? Yes, we get it's to be defended here. It's our championship. But if it's not important to be defended on a normal basis on TV, then why should we care?
Right.
And you're right, because that was Kurt Angle's first belt that he won, stepping stone there.
Mm-hmm.
It became almost like that spot for the most part. But then when the Hardcore Championship came, that really became these guys should be on your radar, not necessarily as a future world champion or going up, but they're going to be a mainstay in the low end, low opener, like jobber angle,
Yep.
low mid card. Maybe they can get out to the upper mid card with the Intercontinental Championship, but that's where they're going to be. We don't really see them, but that's what that came over, which was interesting. So, but yeah, well, so here's my champion, my
Okay.
second tier title. It's going to be, I'm going with more of that kind of a different name. I've had it beforehand, then I started looking up for you, and I lost it. But so I do know what I want to do with the women's stuff.
Okay.
So I want to make their second tier title different than the men's. So I'm going to go with that one because I do know what I want to do with that one. This is going to be called the Trios Championship, which I don't know if it'll be that, but maybe called the Triple Crown Championship. What it means is it's not defended one-on-one. It's always defended in a three-way.
Oh, and a triple threat match.
Yes. Now, how you do that doesn't mean it can be a one pinfall thing. You can switch it up. You can have a elimination style
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to, but it would always be two contenders.
That's awesome. I actually like that.
That way, you always have. It's always the champion never has a championship advantage. It becomes the workhorse. It easily becomes a workhorse title, and it allows for the title to be viewed as it can change hands more often than a normal singles championship because you have two contenders in the match at all times.
I like that idea.
It allows for that different dynamic there. It makes it different from what a traditional second-tier title, and from what I can do with the men's title for that. And it's just like, and it puts two, because you have three people in a match at all times for that. There, you're adding a secondary star to the match, getting them over. Even though they may not win the match, they're out there. They're getting exposure. And for record keeping, only the person who takes the pinfall gets the loss.
Okay. I mean, I like that. I do also like the fact that what AEW does not count the third person as a win or a loss
Oh, they don't. I haven't
in a
noticed
triple
that.
threat match.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really had that many triple threat matches, so I haven't really been paying attention too much for that.
So yeah,
one of the-
when
they
the
I do
triple
like
threat
that.
with Jimmy Havoc doesn't have a win and didn't have a win or a loss after that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He was still
Well,
0-0.
I do like that. I do think that's a good thing. But that would allow for that, and because if you want to have a win-loss, you could have that certain matchups. Okay, no, this will be an elimination type matchup.
Yeah.
So it would be like there. I'd also kind of want to work in something else. One thing I'm thinking about I'd love to do for the men's title is I'd like to kind of give that the hardcore type feel for it, but actually make it feel legit. I don't know. It's kind of hard to really talk about that. Like what I would go for. I kind of want to do like match specific type championship, or not like just it's a ladder match championship, but it still has like a it only is defended in a certain type of stipulation, in a sense.
Okay.
I don't know. I still have to. I'd have to think this out a little bit. I need more time to really think that out. But that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Just make it a different type. But no, I do like the thing. The idea is, I know what I do want to do for a fact for all championships in general. There is no championship advantage.
Yes. I like that idea.
And because we're only fantasy booking the second tier, I'm gonna put that stipulation on both champions. Well, I already had that naturally built into the triple threat title championship with women, but I'd put that in the men's as well. So if you lose, if the champion gets counted out, they lose the belt. If they get disqualified, they lose the belt. Type feel. Also, with that, there is no championship rematch. You lose the belt, you do not get a rematch.
Okay. I like that.
Because the only way you can get a rematch is if you had a screwy finish, cheating was involved, and the ref didn't necessarily see it, then they can be granted a rematch in a sense as a payback to try to get the belt back. But there has to be a reason to that, or you earn another opportunity. And, I mean, this will not be part of the rules, but just as a background rule is, champions don't get automatically put into the next number one contender match, because we've seen too many of that in WWE. I just lost my championship. Oh, no rematches. I'm just going to put them in a number one contenders match. Oh, look, he won. He gets his rematch.
Yeah, that's just
the
crap.
point of getting rid of that rematch was so that they didn't have those rematches and be booked to death. But because you're too lazy in your ways, you just did it anyway. Oh, so funny little note, Adam. I'm looking at my screen where the recording is.
Yeah.
And on top of it has a smaller version of the entire thing. And I can see the gap where you were just went on your little tangent about your little wrestling thingy on Sundays.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
Which is really weird, funny because it's just like it's a gap.
So we've got
actual gap. Okay, so we kind of defined our division. I'm still kind of thinking about where I'm going with the men's.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, you know what? I'm not gonna stick with my women's. I'm not gonna do the men's
Okay,
because
you just stick with your women's.
I lost it. I lost what I wanted to do.
Yeah, my men's division. I you know what? No, I'm not going to stick with the dark. It's going to be the Prime Championship. It's going to be defended heavily on TV.
Just so you know, you can't use that name because I always use that in my Excel championship.
Yeah,
for the Prime,
too bad.
For
No.
Prime Wrestling.
Nope.
So you can't. It's copyright
Just
infringement.
no,
I'm sorry.
not happening. No.
That's
That's
the only
not how
one who can
this
talk
works.
about their wrestling game.
But yes, so it would be heavily defended or used in television, because instead of having the world champion doing something every single week, this would definitely fill in the gaps, and you can show off this championship a little bit more. But I have my division for it, and I have my first winner.
Okay. Who? Well, before we get to that,
Okay.
let's let me go with my women's triple crown. I'm gonna go with the triple crown.
Okay.
I think it's kind of it is a little deceiving with the title, but three-way triangle don't sound as good. Triad, the Triad Championship.
Okay, there you go.
I like that. That still gets that. It's still because I've actually heard them call a long time ago. I think it was in WCW that they called it a Triad match at one point.
Huh.
Because it was WCW and they were who knows, but we'll go with the Triad Championship.
Okay.
So I was just thinking of how can I make this unique. I do agree. I want this to be its primary focus is to be defended on television. It does get defended on pay-per-views as well.
Right.
Because one of the things I do want, I'd put this on. I'm kind of fantasy booking the other championships as well, but just as a whole, just because it's important, that when they always say you must defend the title every so many amount of days,
Yes.
you absolutely have to follow that.
Right. It has to be defended within that time period.
Yeah. So this championship must be defended every 15 days, 15 to 14 days.
Go 21.
No, the reason why I say 14 days is because there's 7 days in a week. Usually there's at least 4 weeks in a month. You're guaranteed 2 title defenses on television a month. It doesn't mean that's the limit. That's all you're gonna do, but you're guaranteed 2 title defenses each month of this championship on television.
Yeah.
So, and then, but here's the nice little twist I thought about this. Is the person of the two who does not get pinned remains a number 1 contender. So you actually have a number 1 and number 2 contenders for this. Whoever doesn't get pinned, even if they were the number 1 contender or the number 2, stays in the picture for the next title defense.
Okay, I like that idea. I really, really like that idea.
Because it allows that for the person who doesn't get pinned, because I didn't lose the match, so why should I? But you're only allowed 2 title defenses back to back. If you couldn't win it in that time frame, even though you didn't get pinned, lose it both times, you didn't actually win it either, so you have to earn another opportunity again. But like again, that person can make an argument for getting another shot if, let's say, the champion defended it successfully because they cheated by doing something illegal.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Like, you can play around with it for that. But this way, it just kind of a little neat dynamic with that. But yeah, I really kind of like this idea of the triangle championship, triangle match happening. You have 2 contenders at all times. This also allows for you not to have like, we can't have a championship match until we have 2 contenders. You have to have 2 number 1. But how do you have 2 number 1 contenders? It's only one so it'd be I would phrase it as a number 1 and number 2 contenders always are in the match.
Oh, that's cool.
That's how it's phrased. So you have rankings. But here's the other thing. Let's say the champion doesn't like if you have a big, very heel champion, and they don't like the 2 people in there, and they want to make sure that when they retain, they have to earn another shot. A stipulation could be added on where if the champion retains, both lose their contendership. It still does not count as a loss for the person unless it's an elimination. If we have elimination, there's a loss count. But if it's not, even if it's not an elimination, but the champ retains, both lose their contenderships, and 2 new contenders must be named.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm really fleshing this idea out. I really do like that mind frame for it. And to add some interest to this,
Yes.
For pay-per-views, I think I'm going to add this in. Not necessarily television, but for pay-per-views, this has to be the first championship match. Period. Not necessarily the opening contest, which I do prefer, but it's the opening. It's always a first championship defended on the card of a pay-per-view match.
Okay.
Because I want this to be this tone setter for the rest of the pay-per-view. So I would prefer it. You know what? I'm going to make it. It has to be the opening match.
It has to be the first contest of the evening on the main card.
Pay-per-views. On the main card of a pay-per-view.
Okay. I like that idea.
So, this way, it's a tone center. Now, does this mean it will be defended at every pay-per-view? Not necessarily. Because we're going to have the women's tag titles. We'll have the women's world championship. We have the men's world championship. We have the men's second-tier title and their tag titles. That's 6 championships. That's 6 matches. So I do like the idea that the championships don't when we get them all out there and have that many championships.
Right.
They don't have to be all defended at every pay-per-view.
No. But it would be cool to
Build
have at
to
least
it.
one pay-per-view where that's the only thing that happens.
I would say because they're doing about 4 pay-per-views to start off, I do hope that they move to 5 and hold to that number at some point.
5 or 6.
But I would 5 or 6. I think 6 is the magic number overall. But start with 4 for the first year, maybe the second year, maybe in the third year you add your 5th one. You hold that for 3 more years, and then you eventually get to the 6 years. You're slowly adding your pay-per-views numbers up over the years as you on the brand and the company expand for that. This way you can have that, but then you make Double or Nothing and All Out where every championship must be defended, including the Dark Championship.
I still like. I really like that idea. That there's purely a dark match championship, and even at a pay-per-view, yes, but it's the dark match of that pay-per-view.
Yeah. One thing I think you could stretch it if you. I think you could stretch the rules to that matchup for pay-per-views. It is allowed to be defended on the pre-show.
Okay.
Because the pre-show is always usually streamed on their YouTube channel,
Right.
on BRNE, all that. And if you've gotten the pay-per-view, you get the pre-show as well, obviously. So,
But
it's allowed to be defended on the pre-show of pay-per-views.
but you're still. I kind of still consider the pre-show to be what AEW Dark is. They're technically the matches that aren't part of the main card.
Yeah. I mean, it's a buy-in.
Right.
It's supposed to be the buy-in. And the dark match, well, it's the dark match championship. It's defended there because it's on the internet and all that, and it's technically dark, but you get to see, it's the only time you really get to see on a normal basis of outside the internet. But since most pay-per-views are viewed on internet these days, the internet companies that are doing the pay-per-views versus the TV companies doing the pay-per-views. But yeah, I like that. But yeah, so that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And okay, now here's something you never really hear about, and this is actually specifically applies to AEW in hand. Usually, you have a number 1 contender.
Yeah.
Contenders match. That's what I'm saying. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought process there, people.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. But you usually have a number 1 contenders match. How do you handle the number 1 contenders for the second tier title? Let's put overall. This could be broad for the whole company as well, because I think that's not been fully announced.
No, it has not been really set up that well in AEW right now.
Because Cody was announced as the number 1 contender because of his win-loss record.
Right.
But then Darby Allin won a number 1 contenders match, which didn't make sense because Cody's the number 1 contender for the pay-per-view. So, I mean, I guess I know why they had to do that because they announced so far that the title would be defended at that show. But at the same time, it just seemed weird. Cody is your number 1 contender. So
that one's kind of weird because it really did feel more like Cody had been announced that he had a championship match at Full Gear. The other one was, hey, this match this belt won't be defended within the set period of time before we get to Full Gear that it needs to be defended in. So we need a matchup. So you two guys go at it and get back to us. One of you will get that match.
I think they should have done it is like they should have said Cody is the number 1 contender, but the matchup that they had, and this doesn't solve the issue that they already announced it, but just say, oh, the winner of this match is going to get a future title shot, and then it was the next week that they got their title shot.
Yeah.
Once you name a number 1 contender, they are the number 1 contender. Any other thing else you're going to do that they want a championship title defense before then should be said, this person they want the right to a championship shot and therefore the winner of this, well, then they can then name it in the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we won't have that issue going forward because they're not announcing all the matches that far in advance that they were like for TV, hyping up the first few shows.
Right.
So that way can work there. For me, for my championship, is going to be almost always stricted based on win-loss record.
Okay.
So, when you have a match, the champion retains. The person who didn't lose the belt, take the loss, is instantly rocketed into number one. They're the number one contender now. Well, regardless of they were before, they were the number 2 contender or the number 1. They are the number 1 contender.
Okay.
For the next championship match. The next person in the rankings by win-loss record is the second contender for the belt.
Outside of the champion.
Yes. Well, we're just talking about contenders. We're not talking about the champion. Because the contender, you're not a contender if you're the champion.
Okay. I like that idea.
So, but now here's the thing. Now, every so often, though, we will hold matches where you have the right to a championship shot at the Triad Championship, where you can name yourself the second contender for the belt. So that way, but it's rare. We don't always have to have that happening. It just be like, okay, these two people have been going really well. They have some wins and they've been winning, and they lose a few. They go, but they're good. We think they're ready for a title shot. They should have an opportunity, but they're just not there yet. So we're gonna give them a shot. The winner of this, we've been impressed with them. We're gonna give them a shot. This win will give them a shot when they choose to name themselves as number 1 contender or number 2 contender.
Now, you had said earlier that there are no rematches, right?
Right.
Oh.
Unless you, technically, yes.
Okay. What if by getting pinned and officially losing, that your record prior to that was so good that loss still keeps you as the number 2 contender?
It would have to be. It's possible because it's flexibility. Because
mathematically, it is possible.
There were no rematches. Was more specifically based on the championship, the champion losing.
Okay.
But
They don't get. There's no
right,
auto rematch.
Yeah, but it kind of that same auto rematch kind of goes for the person who got pinned. Well, that's where it would be like, you may be ranked number 1 still or but because you took the pinfall loss, you can't get that being the number 2. Unless it was like unless it was like super extensive, like a Goldberg like win streak.
Okay, well, yeah. No, the cool thing about that is who's ever number 3. If that spot happens, number 3, the person who took the loss has to have a match against the number 3 person to put themselves back in the number 2 spot. If they lose that match, number 3 gets put in the number 2 spot, the second contender spot.
That would be on the basis of the person's win-loss. If it was a really impressive win-loss, but not a Goldberg or Asuka type win-loss.
No.
It would be considerable that could happen because there. But for the most part, it would be the third rank would instantly become number 2 contender.
Okay.
Because of the no rematch. But if it was a very extensive, very impressive win streak, and then they took the loss in the match, and they can make that argument that, hey, yes, I lost, but I've had this amazing record. I should still be in that number 2 contender spot.
Okay.
You know what? You have an argument there, so we'll put you with the number 3 ranked person. If you win, you get your shot. If not, they get to go in.
Cool. All right. So the Prime Championship. This one or the Elite? You know what? I'm sticking with the Elite Championship. The Elite Championship, how you get into a number 1 contender spot or into a number 1 contender match. It is purely a voted on thing by the members of the Elite. The EVPs
Interesting.
are the only 4 people that can make the decision, and they base it upon in-ring work, crowd reaction. So it shows that they're
5 people.
what?
It should be 5 people.
Okay,
Tony
5.
Khan
Tony
should be
Khan is
in
thrown
there.
into the group.
Because he get Tony. No, you had the 4, but you have Tony Khan as the tiebreaker.
So yes, Tony's the tiebreaker choice. If it's a 2-2 tie, not a
Yes.
4-way tie, then Tony's just like, okay, guys, seriously, someone needs to have 3 votes. Get your shit
Well,
together.
in that case, I mean, like even if you get a 4-way tie,
You can get a
you
photo
still make
4-way
it.
match out of that deal.
yeah, you could do that. You could do that. You know, sometimes like, oh no, they're both drawing these 2 people. Okay, we'll do a triple threat match.
Yeah.
Instead. But Tony will be the one that comes in and actually determines if that was the case, or if he's gonna pick the one.
And
He'll pick. Either he picks a contender, or he can say, you know what, I like both of them. We'll do a triple threat.
Yeah.
Or a fatal 4-way.
It-
Or a 5-way.
and it's purely, it's a situation where it's the elite putting together a division that they're going, no, the crowd's reacting to them. We like what they're doing. And it also kind of it shows that they're listening to the fans.
Okay.
And who's getting over. It's probably it would be the most organic division. And it would be one of
What
those that
if
it's
you
like,
did
if so-and-so, if a heel, wins the championship, yeah, they're going to get booed, but it's the crowd reaction that they're getting.
What if you did something similar, whereas the elite can put people up for it, and you actually let the audience vote?
Okay, that would be cool too.
But it's not necessarily the deciding factor.
No.
But because while they have heels in AEW, it's a very fluid system, which is good.
Yeah.
But that way you can still say, because AEW fans they care about the characters, they care about who's the good guy and the bad guy to a point. They also care more about matches.
Yes.
Who's facing off against who, so that allows them to fans will where if there's WB, the babyfaces are going to win every single time,
No, totally.
hands down. But we're in AEW, fans would vote for a heel to win it because they want to see that matchup.
Yeah.
So that way, we'd allow for that organic type feel you were saying for where we're listening to the fans. Well, but they still have control of who they put up, and they have their criteria of why they put them up.
Right. Now, so this championship, I'm now gonna book who's going to win because we're starting to get close on time.
Yes, we are.
The first champion, I want to be Pac, the bastard Pac. Like, this is a guy, like, but only, I mean, at the same time though, only if it seems like a natural thing. He's over with the crowd. I mean, yes, he's over with the crowd, but
Yeah.
you can use this division to introduce new people. And,
Yes.
maybe it's a moment, like, honestly, Pac seems like the kind of guy that it would be good. Now, this division, right away, you've got Adam Page. You got
Yep.
Scorpio Sky. I'm throwing Sean Spears in here. He definitely belongs in this group right now. Darby Allin, I would, and Jimmy Havoc. I want to see Joey Janela in there. Like, really, they have a strong mid card that any one of these guys over the next couple of years can be catapulted up into main event status. Another thing that I'm enjoying about AEW right now is the fact that they're not stuck in the old school mindset of WWE. Everyone is super jacked. If you're big, you're going to get propelled right to the top. It's like, no, if you're good, you're going to get propelled to the top.
Yeah, and that is very important. Going into that,
I really do feel that the steroid scandal is what changed professional wrestling and just overall. Like, it had such a profound change on professional wrestling as a whole.
oh yeah, by
Big
far.
guys were not used as much unless they were natural big guys, and small technical wrestling actually moved to the forefront.
Yeah. So I agree with that, which is cool. So I'm not going to book out the division.
Okay.
Because AEW's women's division is still pretty small.
Yes,
so
it is.
I will pick my first champion.
Okay.
And that's going to be Shida. Hiroka Shida?
Yeah.
The one I got wrong when it picked who was going to beat Rio to go in the number one contender. Hikaru Shida. I'm just going to go by Shida because I'm going
Shida.
to try. I just can't do it.
Okay.
Shida. I do like her. I think she's still a name that people need to get familiar with, but she's a perfect person to kind of put in that position as a second tier champion. For that. And so that's what I would put on the championship. But and time is almost up. Do you have anything other areas of a championship that we should quickly go over? If not, I do have something else I want to talk about for a different championship that I want to quickly just introduce that I think they should bring in at some point. But
Okay.
Not
I
for a
really don't have anything else. If the microphones in this office are indeed connected to AEW in any way, it would be awesome to see, ideas for a dark match championship at some point. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Also, Kenny
All right.
Omega is really cool, just as a human being. Really cool. All right.
Unlike Seth.
Yeah, unlike Seth Rollins, who, as a person on Twitter, comes across as a jackass.
Yes. Okay, so I don't have anything else. I can't think of any other areas for a championship that we need to really develop into. So I want to talk about what they think they will eventually bring in at some point too, which would be a 7th championship if they had 2 secondary titles for the women and the men. But I do think they should bring it in at some point. A 6-man tag team championship.
Yes, they're
But-
naturally set up that way.
But here's the thing. I want the 6. I don't want it to be called 6-man. I want it to be called trios.
Yes.
And I want to take it up as Lucha Underground did, where women can be involved in it.
Heck yeah, why not?
Because that I think would be awesome. Because
I kind of feel that that's where you could branch from having, the bridge, if you will. That's the bridge
Yeah.
to bring women in for mixed gender matches, and then get people used to male and female mixed gender matches. Then you have
Yes.
actually women taking over what traditionally was men's divisions.
yeah, you could have women's talent like Tessa Blanchard. She comes in. Obviously, put her in let her go do the women's stuff, but also be putting her in the fighting men. Have her win the AEW World Championship. That sends a statement how big of a star she is. But yeah, build towards it and using the 6 on the trios championship as that way to say. Yeah. Now I know the argument would come up with is like if once women are able to win the men's championships, like, well, if a man went in and won the women's championship, you never hear the end of it, so it's not fair. And to a point that is true.
To a
But-
point.
The idea to me would be is that it's an injured. There's no world there. The idea is to eventually get to a point where where women can cross over and wrestle the men. It's not going to be all the time, but it's one of those things that can happen.
I look at the women's belt the same way I look at a junior heavyweight cruiserweight belt. These are people that can challenge for the world championship at any time, but there is a but there is restrictions to these belts.
Yeah.
We're not saying
makes
that
sense.
there's a restriction on the world belt. There's none. It's an open belt. There's no weight division. There's no gender division. It's just an open belt. And you can go, well, yeah, but what makes them secondary titles is the fact that there are restrictions to those titles.
Okay, I could see something like that. I'll be interested to see. But yeah, that's just what I want to talk about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking for 16 hours here.
Whew.
I mean, a good 10 hours worth of content just on this developing a brand. But ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comment section what kind of championship you want to see as a second tier title for AEW down below. And just to make it for those people who may not be AEW fans, what kind of second tier title you would like to see across the board in general.
Yeah.
And let us know what you thought about our actually designs of second tier titles for that. And the idea of a dark championship for over there.
Hey, yeah. I got one more thing. Remember to tune in tomorrow for Slammin' Saturdays presented by New England Wrestling Alliance. Going to be a great card, ladies and gentlemen. Great card.
Oh,
Damn you again with the zoning out the moment that I bring up a wonderful little promotion here in the Northeast, up in New England. Oh, Tim, I'm done. You can come back now.
Oh, okay.
Let's close the show.
Okay. But, ladies and gentlemen, while you're on your way down to comment, hit that. Give us a thumbs up. You made it to the end of this video. You're clearly looking what you're listening to. At least me. We all know about Adam and how he drones on.
Whoa!
But go ahead and give us a thumbs up anyway.
While
you're at it, go ahead and hit that
long-winded person ever.
I know. I don't know what you're talking about. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Ding!
Ring the bell.
Ding!
And get bent. Like Seth Rollins.
On Twitter. Yeah, so there.
On Twitter.